And now, the LSU Football Fix with Preston Guy, presented by TigerBait, starts now.
And welcome in to your LSU Football Fix. I'm Preston Guy, your host as always each and every Monday night. Joined with me as always is publisher at Sports Illustrated's LSU affiliate site, the LSU Country, is Zack Nagy. Zack, what's up, man?
Not too much. I feel like we're sitting at a time right now where football, obviously transportal news is somewhat dwindling down. Got some good news today that we can talk about, but we're in the middle of kind of a weird period where basketball's ramping up, football's coming down, baseball's on the horizon. So a lot to talk about, but I know it's a football show. So on the football side of things, going to dwindle down a little bit, but I'm excited to talk about some football, portal additions, early enrollees, you name it. We got it.
And of course, the women's basketball game is wrapping up right now. It looks like they're going to pull off a 6-point win. In fact, they just went final 6-point win over the Vanderbilt Commodores. Of course, the women's basketball team is that 18-0. That's 18-0. Yeah, no,
19. Can you believe it?
19. That's 19. Oh boy, how about the women's basketball team? Meanwhile, the men's basketball team is 0-3 in the SEC. But you know, I've been popping some feelers around LSU and the culture and vibe. Number one, got to understand Mac McMahon inherited an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, we talk about how bad what Brian Kelly got was. Matt McMahon's was worse. I mean, he had no scholarship players. Of course, it takes less players and less time to rebuild a basketball program. But, then there's the other side of things, the NIL situation. And I'm going to tell you, from poking feelers around, it seems like LSU was in a scramble to get its football NIL situation in line, and then they're worried about basketball. Another thing about it is the majority. If you had to guess, what percentage of the funds that people give to Bou Traditions is like designated to a certain sport, like any particular sport?
It's a good question. I mean, obviously football is getting your absolute majority. Women's basketball is probably getting more than men's. I don't know the specific breakdowns. I'd love to know though.
What I'm hearing is about 95 to right under 100%. Basically, all of the funds are designated to a certain sport. There's like nothing in the general fund where coaches just get to pick and shift. So the point in mentioning that is, fans get to decide where they want their money, what programs they want. So, if you want to help out the basketball program, which is where all the focus is going to go, by the way, for LSU moving forward. From what I'm understanding, LSU, talking to people, I think LSU is set, content on the football roster with who's in the portal currently. I don't think there's anybody else on my roster. That's not to say they won't add more people, and I think me and you are going to touch on where they could go with, but I think that the focus for LSU is going to be, we got to get our NIL straight for basketball because this is not okay. I mean, there's a certain standard. I don't think LSU I think LSU basketball fans are very reasonable. Am I based in that or what? Like,
I think with women's basketball, obviously the standard is significantly higher because that Mulkey effect.
Right. But you pay for a coach like Mulkey, the standard should raise.
Yeah, and I would hope that fans, when it comes to McMahon and company, I mean, look, it was always going to be an uphill climb. You're in year 3 now, and you expect bigger and better things. But like you talked about a second ago, Preston, I mean, you were spot on, whether it was scholarship kind of issues where you were down one because of what happened with Will Wade a couple of years ago and whatnot. It was always going to be an uphill climb. He's recruiting at a decent level at the high school ranks. Transfer portal is going to be a spot where he has to continue to go a higher and higher level as time goes on. But he's doing with what he's got. 2025 is going to be a tough stretch of SEC ball for this team. I mean, I look at that schedule and I don't know. I mean, I might see 2-3 more wins, and I hate to say that because, man, I love Matt McMahon. That is, you want to win for that guy. Fantastic coach, X's and O's guy, just a really good person. I want to see him win. We'll see what happens in the future, but a pivotal offseason, of course, is coming up for them. And like you alluded to, hopefully they can get the NIL situation handled and get them some better players, some better talent coming
Right.
in.
Right. And look, man, I feel like the standard of LSU men's basketball fans is make the tournament on average every year. On average, if you miss it, okay, great. Offset that with a win or two in the tournament. I don't think LSU basketball fans have an unreasonable expectation, yet somehow this very reasonable expectation is not being met. It hadn't been met for a few years. Everybody I talk to loves Matt McMahon. Everybody, they say he does great business. They say he is a gentleman. I've never heard anybody say a negative thing about Matt McMahon except for he hasn't won basketball games at LSU. So, you know what? Let's pivot this into an ad because y'all all know our partner here is the Bou Traditions Collective, right, guys? We're proud to have this partnership with LSU's Bou Traditions Collective to help raise awareness for how fans can provide funds and NIL opportunities to selected LSU student athletes. All contributors who support the Bou Traditions through the options below will receive 4 TAF points per $1,000 contributed. These points will, of course, count toward your lifetime philanthropic point totals. The link is in the description of this video, or just go to BouTraditionsCollective.com, select the fund you would like to contribute, and enter a payment information, right? You can set up recurring payments now if you want to do monthly, or you can just select a pledge option. And of course, if you want to help Matt McMahon and the Tigers in basketball, you can select that, or if you want to go football, go that direction there. So there you go. And of course, guys, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our title sponsor tonight, who makes everything possible that we do here. You see the logo in the top right hand corner. It's Louisiana's only locally owned and operated theater with locations in Ruston and Baton Rouge. Because they're locally owned and operated, you're guaranteed to see a clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, state-of-the-art technology, and of course the Baton Rouge location has the largest invigorating arcade in town with over 50 games. They've got a bar featuring wine, beer, frozen drinks, and of course the must-have leather reclining seats. Don't forget, they got the Dolby Atmos 3D sound system if you want to go see a great movie like maybe that Robbie Williams biopic where he's a monkey, Better Man. It should be audio great, but I'm hearing it's croaking at the box office like I've never seen anything before. I'll tell you what we're going to talk about tonight. Give you a quick little rundown, and we'll get to some comments. I think tonight's going to be comment heavy because I think a lot of the news, these are things you want to talk about. They're not like, let's get to some hard-hitting items, So I'll tell you kind of what direction. By the way, if you're listening to this and you got a comment, we got to talk about Tamarcus Cooley. Great pickup for LSU. We're also going to talk about Donovan Green, who I think is awesome for the role they need him for, but we'll talk more about that in a bit. Notre Dame. You think that's going to get spicy? I wonder if we get any Notre Dame fans tonight.
I picked the wrong day to wear green.
It's not really a green. Well, it kind of looks more like they're blue, but you very Notre Dame'd out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, it's next Monday that's the problem, though. Anyways, we'll talk about that situation. I think that's one where a lot of drama can unfold in a lot of different directions. Kyron Lacey situation, I think we have to at least touch on that. I don't know that there's much to discuss. It just sucks for all parties involved. I want to kind of break down where LSU's portal class is because I don't think they're done, but I think they're paused. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're surprised, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But that's kind of the rundown of news items to discuss tonight. So guys, make it your show. Add some color tonight. Let's talk about it. Maybe James Richter wants to know what a schnick snack is. Zack, do you have any idea what a schnick snack is?
Never even heard that word before. No.
And apparently it's mentioned in my ad. I wonder if that's like we're on YouTube and they run the
correct. I remember that's why a lot of people were kind of sitting back, quote unquote, complaining because we run ads through the show and then YouTube also runs their ads. So that's probably exactly what that is. I have no idea what
look, guys,
schnick stack is.
If you complain about ads, I'm not going to be the guy who sits here and tells you to stop complaining, but I will thank you for tolerating them because it is how we do what we do and makes it possible. So I appreciate y'all. Best start ever. Is that really, didn't they start close to 20-0 2 years ago. Am I crazy?
I don't know. I don't think you're crazy. I don't remember.
It was close to it. Maybe that was 18-0, and now they're 19-0. Pretty good. LSU basketball only needs 5 elite NIL names. Is it sad that a basketball team needs more elite NIL names than the football team? Because how many portal guys does LSU football need?
How many?
Well, I'm just trying to say, what do you think the needs are? Like, what would Coach Nagy put out there right now?
What LSU needs right now in the portal?
Yeah, what would you add to this team, or is it done in your books?
No, I think when you look at what they ultimately need down the stretch, you need one more safety just to give you a cushion. Getting one was important, but getting another one would give you some cushion and some talent in that room. And then also you look at the offensive tackle slot, and that's what you and I have talked about as well. I think that's a spot where you could obviously fall towards a youngster like a Weston Davis and slot him in there, of course. But to go get another veteran when you're in a year, man, look, I'm not one to sit back and say championship or bust. I don't like to put expectations on the program or anybody like that. But, I mean, you're entering a year right now where you have Garrett Nussmeier at the helm. You have a lot of offensive weapons. Your offensive line has a lot of critical pieces on the interior, like Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson. So if you can go out and get another guy on the outside, another offensive tackle, I think that's a pivotal need. And then one that might not be as kind of sexy or flashy for me is a defensive tackle. I think to go out and get another defensive tackle would be key, just to add some depth in the trenches, some experience. Jacobian Guillory's coming off of that torn Achilles. We'll see how ready he is come fall, how ready he is for week 1 against Clemson as well. So you got youngsters coming back like Ahmad Bro, Dominic McKinley, really high on those two, of course. Talk about some youngsters coming in, Buddy Mathis, Zion Williams. You got some youngsters coming in the mix as well. But for me, man, I'd love to see another veteran, experienced presence get in the trenches as well to coach up those guys too. So when I'm looking at those portal needs, one safety, an offensive tackle, and one more defensive tackle. If you can get those 3, I mean, you hit the jackpot. I think, man, you're putting yourself in a really good spot. The 2 most important are another safety and offensive tackle.
Do you think calling them needs is a strong word at this point? I feel it's a little strong. It might be more of a want, don't you think?
I think you need another safety. We didn't see enough from Deshaun Spears this year. Sure. We didn't necessarily see, in my opinion, anything from Jordan Gilbert. I know he was injured. So
you hate that guy, man. All right, you don't hate that's a strong word, but man.
He graded out as your second worst safety or your second worst defensive player. It was a struggle, and I know he was hurt, but he just didn't showcase anything that shows a starting caliber safety for the LSU Tigers, in my opinion. You just switched Javian Toviano over to safety. So those are your 3 guys you're working with. You also got Joel Rogers and Ausberry as well. When you're looking at a starting caliber guy in the SEC right now, ready to make an impact, it's Tamarcus Cooley, and that's it. So
is that it on your safety depth? Is it really after those guys we're talking about Ausberry and Joel Rogers? That's you need.
It's Javian Toviano, Jordan Gilbert.
All right, Toviano. Okay, all right.
Spears. Those are your 3. And then you talk about Ausberry and Joel Rogers.
Yeah, I think you need depth and starting talent at there. So, but corner is actually pretty good, and that's where I get at.
Yeah.
I think there's an argument to say getting a starting safety out of the portal is a want, not a need, simply because maybe one of these corners can slide over. In fact, I was kind of trying to divvy it up. Who's your starters? I mean, look, tell me this isn't a serviceable starting lineup. In fact, a good starting lineup. Cooley, you think free or strong for Cooley? I haven't really looked at enough film to decide one way or another.
Yeah, me either. I'd probably say free.
And by the way, he's played corner as well in his career. In fact, he was recruited as a corner initially. But I'll go free because, here's the deal about him. He only had 39 tackles. He had 312 snaps this year. He gave up 1 touchdown all year long. It's pretty good. And, let me compound that by he had 2 forced fumbles and 3 interceptions. So he's 5 times more likely to cause a turnover than give up a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, how many DBs do you think have done that at LSU in the last, 5 years?
None.
Yeah, like none. 5 times more turnovers than touchdowns. Are you kidding me? There's no way. 7 pass breakups, but only 39 tackles. So this is not a guy who's wanting to get in the box and make. I think he's your free. Is what I'm getting at here. But then let's say strong. You get a guy who does like to play physical, who does make tackles, and maybe scoot Mansour Delane there. That could work. That could be very good, right?
It could. I just think when it comes down to it, he wants to play corner. LSU recruited him as a corner. I know he's versatile. He's a Swiss Army knife. And like we talked about last show, I mean, he's played a little bit of safety. But, man, I want to see him as that boundary corner for LSU on the other side of, let's say, Jakeem Stewart or DJ Pickett. And that's the only reason why I say it's a need.
You pulled a Preston there.
I had I'd love to see DJ
Jakeem Stewart.
Oh, did I say? Oh, Jakeem Jackson. I would do anything. I would do anything to have DJ Pickett starting on the opposite side of Mansour Delane. I mean, I would do anything.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but hear me out. What if look, maybe Jackson's the guy you slide back there, but then you've got Jackson and DJ Pickett. I mean, tell me, there's 4 DB starting positions in the base defense: Cooley, Delane, Jackson, Pickett. You tell me that's not a good starting 4?
It brings back that kind of that DBU tradition. You're getting a lot of immediate impact guys. Yeah, I mean that's a really talented secondary, and that's what you've been waiting for quite some time at LSU. And yeah, it's a nice quartet of guys.
I think it's a pretty strong lineup, but that's why I say you would like a true safety and you'd like some quality depth there. That's why I'm almost wanting to call it a want. I also think right tackle, you really do need a starter. Right I agree. Tackle. You might find a guy who gives you good enough reps, but if you want to compete for a championship, you can't have holes on this roster. You can't have guys who are not ready to play. And then there's also a question of, is DJ Chester all his woes going to be fixed because he slides to guard?
That's another thing that I'm thinking too. And for me, week 1 at Clemson is a must win. And I know we like to talk about the youngsters that can step in and how they can project, but it's going to take time for those young guys to develop like a Weston Davis. I'm not sure he's necessarily a week 1, day 1 ready guy at this point in his career. He might be a guy who could start day 1, but it'll take time for him to develop. So if you can go get a surefire starter, like you're saying, for week 1 at Clemson, man, I think you're putting yourself in such a really good spot for the season. Yeah. That's probably your most important kind of need, if that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. And then I think beyond that, it's just go get best talent available.
Yeah.
Go see who you can get. Go see, don't empty out your collective and overpay for anybody, but see who you can bring in to add depth. And if someone falls in your lap, like this comment down here, Cole Adams wants to know, hey, Preston, Zack, over here in Texas, we're hearing Sark may be going to the Cowboys, although I'm hearing Dion might be going to the Cowboys or Raiders. We'll see. That'd be pretty funny if you ask me. But if that happens, any chance we go after Colin Simmons? I mean, my God, if Colin Simmons wants to come, I mean, by all means.
Colin Simmons. And imagine the edge talent that you'd have at that point. You'd be
Pat Payton and Colin Simmons. Are you kidding me? That'd be disgusting.
You'd be
and then
loaded.
Who would be? I'm trying to remember who the other edge guy who would be coming off the bench. Let's see. I wrote it down.
Yeah, I mean, off the edge, you got Patrick Payton, you got Jamari Butler, Jack Pyburn.
Pyburn? Yeah, no, that's actually who I predicted was Pyburn wins that. Look, Cole, if he wants to come and you can get him, great. There's a chance that maybe that would be in that hypothetical, which it's not, nothing's come to fruition here. But in that hypothetical, let's say he's interested, there's a chance that other NIL places are not, rolling out, top dollars for him. And you can get him because he certainly is familiar with LSU and Brian Kelly and the coaching staff. Certainly familiar with Bou Davis. Did he commit to Bou Davis? I'm trying to remember the timeline. I think he committed to Bou Davis, but he signed for their new guy over there. Anyways, certainly was recruited by Bou Davis at Texas and recruited by Brian Kelly here at LSU. LSU didn't get him, but probably was in his final 3 or whatever. And but the word on the street was NIL. You get it. LSU wasn't winning these NIL bids back then. Maybe Miami ran out of money after giving Carson Beck $3 million. Who knows?
I cannot believe that bag. It's crazy, man.
It's not that good. I think he's okay. Let's put it like this. Carson Beck, if he's playing for Penn State's in the national championship right now. He's that good. Yeah, he's that good. But Drew Aller, man. Yeah.
That was abysmal. No receivers caught a ball. I couldn't believe that stat.
Ugh. And I'm sorry, but you watch the way he was playing. He was throwing ducks out there.
Yeah.
For a guy with a cannon, he doesn't have much zip. And he threw a lot of very interceptable balls. Man. Should we guys, should we dive into the Notre Dame talk? Let's do this. I'm gonna give myself some time and patience to breathe here. We're gonna do our first ad break. I'll be right back after that, and we'll talk a little Brian Kelly Notre Dame situation. But before I do that, let's talk about a happier topic. Let's talk about celebrity theaters and their weekly promotions, making it more affordable than ever to check them out. You got Monday, Senior Savings Day. You got Tuesday, your Bargain Tuesday, where it's discounted for everybody. Half-priced arcades and discounted college tickets for students with a college ID on Wednesday. And of course, Thursday at the Baton Rouge location is their Thirsty Thursday, where they have discounted wine and frozen drinks after 5 p.m. Let's hear from Rejuvame.
At Rejuvame, we specialize in medically monitored hormone and weight loss therapy, giving you the energy you need for all life's challenges. Let us be your age-defying clinic. Restore me, refuel me, Rejuvame. RejuvameMedical.com.
Try looking to rejuvenate your health. Try Rejuvame Medical. Their expert team offers GLP-1 medications for weight loss and wellness. Feel your best with Rejuvame. Visit RejuvameMedical.com today. And guys, look, let me tell you how proud I am to announce that all of our shows will continue to be sponsored by Struby's for 2025. They've just been great. Rick and his son and family have just been awesome partners for TigerBait. And it's a place I'm glad to have, because I just know anytime I need to take anyone out to impress them, whether it be my wife on Valentine's or, and a business relationship, whatever it might be, I just know where to go. 107 3rd Street in downtown Baton Rouge. Struby's prides itself in providing a 5-star dining experience for a reasonable price. Struby's is locally owned with ownership in the building daily, taking a level of pride in the food and service you're just not going to see from corporate establishments. It just is what it is, guys. Struby's features a full menu of specialty meats, including USDA prime black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. And for those looking something outside of red meat, they offer items such as the dry-aged pork chop, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, and plenty more. Book your reservation online at strubys.com. Make sure to let them know. Boy, redfish. So I ate that redfish I caught the other day that I showed on the show. You were there for that.
Yeah,
I
did see that.
I ate it this weekend, and it was awesome, man. And now I want to go get some at Struby's. Anyways, guys, we had to talk to y'all. I'm very excited. This is a new partnership we added last week. Dykes Electrical, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. Guys, I can't tell you how happy I am to add them. Whatever your project, big or small, they're there ready to take care of you. They wired the lights in Tiger Stadium. They will fix your light switch in your house. And if they can't do it, they want to help you in all of your electrical needs. So if it's something, there's only a handful of things they can't really do. And if it is, it doesn't matter. Give them a call. They're great people. They're looking to help people in Baton Rouge, whether they make a profit off it or not. It's one of the reasons I love partnering with them. So whether you need a brand new 10-story office building, guess what? At Dykes, we can wire that. 200,000 square foot warehouse you need built, we can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building, we can wire that. Changing out a breaker, whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office, we can wire that. Upgrading the old lighting in your home or office, guess what, guys? We can wire that. Call them toll free at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180, for a free estimate on your project. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. All right, so big reason I went to the ads right before teasing the Notre Dame stuff. I was hoping I'd get some juicy comments in here. Let's see here. I
know all these Notre Dame people have been all up on the TigerBait page lately.
They do. Well, they go back to old videos, or they wait for our post-game show. I think they like harassing Mike and me together. You're not harassable. People don't like to harass you. You're just too clean cut, I guess. I don't know. Oh, sometimes people come at you with stupid stuff, right? But for the most part,
Trust me, I've gotten my fair share over the last 6 months. I'll tell you that. So I get it. But Notre Dame fans, I don't.
They're
I
built
don't,
different, man. But I've embraced them, and I think that because of that, they have almost embraced me back.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, it's kind of like a love relationship, because I'm like, yeah, come on, hate me. We get paid to talk about sports, so like, I feel like there's not much room for complaining about anything else, right? Like, it's
Fair.
just one of those things. I'm happy for Marcus Freeman. Hope the Bears sign him. I think he would be great in the NFL. Let me tell you, my qualms here in this whole petty debate, the whole situation has nothing to do with Marcus Freeman. I mean, he's been impressive. I think there's no. I mean, I'm gonna talk to you. I mean, I think he had a little bit of what do they call it? A Mickey Mouse path to the national championship. And that, yes, he had the Notre Dame schedule. Sure. Right. But he still took care of business against that.
He did.
Soft-ish. He beat Texas A&M. LSU didn't. Clearly, Notre Dame was a better team than LSU, and it wasn't particularly close this year. Who else? He beat USC, who LSU didn't. So you took care of business. I get it. It wasn't like a world beater schedule, but you took care of business. But then in the playoffs, you get a fraudulent Indiana team who may or may not beat LSU, by the way. I'm not saying LSU wins that game. This is not about LSU. I'm just telling you, compared to many national championship teams, that's an easier path. Georgia with a backup quarterback, that's a big luck draw. And then a Penn State team where Drew Aller just cannot hit the broadside of a bar. I mean, it's a little bit of a Mickey Mouse path, but I'm still impressed with the job he's done. Fair?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love Marcus Freeman. I think he's a great coach. I think Paul Feinbaum, I'm never going to say much about Paul Feinbaum, but he's a passionate guy, and he was talking a little bit about Marcus Freeman and just saying how he's made that Notre Dame program likable. And I think the Notre Dame program's always been likable. I think people just always have those opinions on Brian Kelly. You love him or you hate him. There's no in between. And I think a lot of people have bought into what Freeman's providing. He's a young football mind, and I think you're starting to see that new era, that new wave of young coaches taking over programs and making them fantastic. And you're seeing that with Notre Dame right now. I'm not saying they're fantastic quite yet, but I think eventually they're going to continue to get there. I don't think they win next Wednesday or next Monday.
No, they don't.
I don't think they win that game, but
that's not being a hater either. But
yeah, and I'm not a hater. I'm just saying I think Ohio State's just cooking with grease right now. But I like Marcus Freeman. I think he's a really good football mind. He's recruiting at a pretty decent level considering the program. I know it's not the easiest to always recruit for such a program like that. We've seen that with Brian Kelly over there too. But he's doing good things over there. I like Freeman. I like what he's building.
Notre Dame's recruiting class used to consist of Catholic guilt. Now they're hitting collection plates from every parish to feed their NIL. Love Jesus, Freeman, but F Notre Dame. And I think that's a big part of this conversation. What's that?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right? But I think that's a big part of this conversation that just gets lost is the whole debate that I took on when we were talking about liking the Brian Kelly hire and the situation of comparing programs to LSU to Notre Dame is none of us knew what the true impact of NIL was going to be. We kind of guessed, but I think most of us just kind of were like, yeah, I mean, everybody's going to raise money and I think Notre Dame has had more money than LSU, and it shows. And I think that that's a big part that we're missing from this equation is discussing that LSU's had NIL issues the last few years. I mean, LSU did not invest in a great roster last year. And I think now we clearly see that, they paid for an 8-4 roster and they got an 8-4 team. And I think that's not going to be the case next year. I think we're going to see a big difference, but I think that LSU may have fallen prey, particularly in big donors. I'm not talking Joe Blow, but I think LSU may have fallen prey to a little bit of winning fatigue. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, there are big-time donors who don't want to give $1 million because they've seen 3 championships in their adult life. They're kind of
a unique perspective.
But it's real, though. Think about do you remember the quotes that Phil Knight said when he gave to Oregon's NIL collective?
Yeah.
He's desperate. He will play a blank check to win one before he dies. Never won a national championship in his lifetime. And unfortunately, looks like he'll have to wait at least one more year. He's got to stick around. Come on, Phil. You got one more year in you because they are, boy. they're going to have a really good roster next year and a really good coach.
I love Dante Moore too. I think they're going to be legit. They're going to be a legit team.
Didn't he have some problems at UCLA though? Like he wasn't quite as hyped up as advertised there, and that's kind of why.
I mean, you got to cut him a little bit of slack. It's not easy to do at that time. But
I just remember watching the film of him in high school, and I was very impressed. The kid has a cannon.
He's a freak.
There's no doubt about it. But you're right about that. Sometimes you don't just write off a freshman. Novel concept, I know, but anyhow, just this whole NIL conversation, I think that LSU has been behind Notre Dame, and I think that that's a big game changer. I mean, those Catholics got money, and winning fatigue is a real issue for LSU, and I think that LSU finally lost enough this year where they're tired of it. It's been half a decade since this team has won anything of true substance. Yes, they won 10 games a couple times. I think that these fans are getting fed up and they're moving in the wrong direction, and they don't want to accept that. Let's see here. Preston, I remember when you were way too nice to the Notre Dame geek. Yeah, man. Cole, I guess what I kind of learned that day is like live debates aren't my thing. And, in a way, it's been great for me. Like I need some time to collect my thoughts and write them down and look things up. Otherwise, when people just come in here and just blah, 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 it's really just a mash. I guess I hate live debates because it really just turns into who can spout the most BS as quickly as possible. Who can hit the most one-liners anyways. Find me on Twitter if you want to debate, because that's better for me. Give me a little bit of time. Let's go up and see if we I saw some good. Okay, here's Mark clarifying that comment on women's basketball earlier. They started 23-0. I could have sworn they did something like that. And 19-0 is the second best start. So great job, women's basketball team, second best start.
Good, man.
Yeah, they got a clutch win the other day, and it is what it is. We'll see if they can keep it up. Let's see here. I saw something about Nussmeier I wanted to get to, though. Here we go. Chuck E. Preston. Nuss should win the Heisman in 25. What impact do you believe it would have on QB recruiting in LSU going forward? It's a pretty good question. Zach, why don't you tackle that, and I'll follow up.
Look, for me, I think you've already seen the damage that a guy like Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels have already done on this program. I know it's kind of a name that you don't want to say anymore, but we saw Bryce Underwood committed to the program for over 300 days because he saw the quarterback development in Baton Rouge and what these quarterback coaches can do and the developmental staff can provide for these players. So Bryce Underwood saw the vision in order to come and commit and be here for that long. Ultimately, Michigan got him. But at the end of the day, LSU had him for that long and for that specific reason.
And not because they paid him.
Wait, what?
Not because LSU paid him, though.
Yeah, no. I mean, you had him because of the culture and the development skills that they have here. And he said that time and time again. So even if Nuss doesn't win the Heisman, we've already seen that. And for me, man, I think you look at the transfer edition that they just got, Michael Van Buren from Mississippi State. This is a player who is coming to sit behind Garrett Nussmeier, who started in the SEC already for Mississippi State. And I know it's Mississippi State, and a lot of people want to talk bad on them because they haven't been as successful recently. But if you're a starting quarterback in the SEC and you leave a starting position to come be a QB2 at a different SEC program, I think that speaks volumes to the program that they're building here in Baton Rouge. And I think it talks a lot about what guys like Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and even Garrett Nussmeier now to come back for another year when he was graded as a top 5, top 7 quarterback in the draft. I think the recruiting is booming for quarterbacks already in Baton Rouge. It speaks to what Joe Sloan's doing already, and I think it speaks to the culture of what they're doing down south as well. I think it's really impressive, and if Garrett Nussmeier were to win the Heisman, I think that'd be just another cherry on top for this program.
I'm going to say you hit on the biggest recruit LSU has been able to land recently, and that is Nussmeier returning. Yeah. The fact that he didn't cater to offers in the transfer portal, which he very well could have, like Carson Beck. The fact that he didn't.
Arnold too. I mean, you name it.
Guys, they dabble, but they also get paid in the NFL. And he didn't decide to be, okay, let's see if I can push my way into a top 5 quarterback in the NFL draft. He said, I'm going to come back to LSU, even though he could go just about anywhere he wanted. boy, you think Bama would like to have him this year? Bama's set to start a true freshman. That's wild to me. By the way, you talk about winning fatigue. I think Bama might be in some trouble because I don't know. I think their base. You think they're motivated to donate big top dollar?
It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle.
Bama's going to have some problems, man. So if Nussmeier were to win the Heisman, it would add to the profile of LSU quite a bit. I think LSU would have a strong argument to be QBU. God, that didn't even sound right coming to like what in the Anthony Jennings am I saying?
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
QBU. But yeah, that's objectively that's where LSU's at. And then look what the guys are doing in the NFL. I mean, Joe Burrow statistically was the best quarterback in the NFL this year and carried the 29th ranked defense to a winning record. My goodness. Jaden Daniels just won Washington's first playoff game in 17 years, 19 years, one of those two anyways. It's unbelievable what those guys are doing. And you throw in the receiver core. I mean, my goodness, man. It's bright. It's bright for LSU's future. I think Nussmeier has a legitimate chance, by the way, to actually win that Heisman. Mark Smith, LSU roster for 2025 must be a 10-2 roster based on all the money they're spending. Bet LSU loses to Clemson and winds up 9-3. No faith in Kelly. Mark came in here and just declared war, man.
He did. And I think you look at this team and you look at the schedule that they've got. I think you look at it, it's 10-2 or bust. 10-2 gets you in the college football playoff. I think no doubt about it. In the SEC, you win 10 games and you're going to be in the playoffs. So,
and you have a slim chance at 9-3 if you have a tough schedule.
Yeah, it's true. We'll have to see how next year shakes out. But yeah, it's true. I think you're looking at 10-2 or bust season. I think with the roster that they have, the returnees that they have, it's obviously too early to project. But for me, I just. Man,
brutal schedule too for LSU. It's 9-3. The LSU might be a very good football team and still go 9-3.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened to Ole Miss this year. Sure. Ole Miss was a very good football team. Hey, half those teams getting buys in the college football playoff get blown out by Ole Miss. Now I get that that's true, but you got to prove it on the field. You got to win ball games, and that's part of sports sometimes. That's you got to execute, but I expect this team will make the playoffs, and I agree with you. If this team doesn't make the playoffs next year, there's going to be a spotlight on Kelly, and it's not going to be a good one. And then you have to wonder, take that a step beyond. You lose the support of the fans, and more importantly, losing fan support equals losing donor support. Because I think that you're going to get donors. It's a tricky balance here. I think people will continue to donate as long as they believe in the coach, but want to win. They have to have that hunger to want to win, but also have belief in that their dollars are going to be invested. Because, I mean, donors are going to have a choice. Do you want to donate to the collective and buy a football team, or do you want to pay $60 million to buy Brian Kelly out? And if you're fed up and you want him gone that bad, people are going to stop donating to the collective. And I think that if they don't make the playoffs, I think that conversation begins.
Agreed. Completely agreed. It's a playoff or bust season for this team.
There it is. Go Irish. You misspelled go, Raymond. Raymond, can I just get a GEAUX Irish? Because I'll put it up there, man. Not rooting against y'all in the championship. I do think Ohio State wins the game. Did you know this is Marcus Freeman's second national championship he's been in?
Was another one with like when he was a player?
Yeah, he played for Ohio State against LSU in 2007, and he lost, but that's not the point here. The point is he gets to play against his alma mater. Hey guys, if y'all haven't already, please hit like on the show. Hit like, beat Mike. Please give us one win this season to where we get more likes than Mike. Of course, it helps with the analytics and all that good stuff for our show, helps build the channel, and go Irish, of course. Zach, do you have to roll out of here in just a bit?
I do. I didn't want to. I do.
No.
I'll 3 more. I'll pop off after 3 minutes.
After 3
We'll
minutes.
go up at 8:45.
Well,
Why don't we talk a little bit about these transfer portal additions before I do pop off, though?
All right, let's talk about these transfer portal additions, and I'll wrap up. We'll talk about the Kyron Lacey situation. Wait, did you want to roll off who the early enrollees are, or do you want to go to transfer portal guys? You pick.
Yeah, let's do some early enrollee stuff.
Give me some early enrollees because you got the list in front of you. Let's talk
this
about
weekend was a really exciting one for this program, man. You saw these true freshmen make their way to campus, and kind of just rattling off the names here. You got DJ Pickett, Harlem Berry, Dame Shanklin, Charles Ross, Teron Francis, who for me, Preston, I just want to see him make a big impact. He's that next Louisiana great that a lot of people are excited to see. He's from Edna Carr, and his nickname's Manchild. I think if you're from Edna Carr and you got a nickname like Manchild, I think it speaks volumes to the player that you are. Okay. Then you got your offensive linemen, Solomon Thomas, Carius Kern, Tyler Miller, Brett Bordelon. And then you throw in your defensive linemen, Zion Williams, Brandon Brown, Dylan Battle, and then your tight end, J.D. LaFleur. So you got 13 youngsters that made their way to campus. And when I'm looking at some just immediate impact pieces, I'm looking at Harlem Berry, of course, DJ Pickett. Those are the pieces. But don't sleep on a guy like Carius Kern, of course. Preston and I have talked about that time and time already. Brian Kelly's already said that he's SEC ready from a physicality standpoint. I really believe that Carius Kern can come in, step in the mix, and really push for a starting spot on the interior offensive line. A minute ago, Preston and I were talking about how DJ Chester going to be ready. We know he's switching over to his natural position of guard, but that doesn't guarantee him being ready as a starter. And for me, I think you got two youngsters coming in that truly can make an impact in Solomon Thomas and Carius Kern. So really excited to see the development that they got. All these guys moved to campus already over the weekend. You got those 13 players in. Charles Ross was your final player to make it in on Sunday after that All-American Bowl. So they had their first day of classes today. They're college ready. They'll kind of work through off-season, the regime, get in there for spring camp. But, man, these 13 early enrollees, I'm excited. I think Teron Francis is a player that a lot of people need to wake up on. I'm not saying he's going to be a day one immediate impact guy just because your receiving core is so talented. But long-term, man, I love what you got there. So it's a big advantage to get your 13 early enrollees on campus. It's going to be exciting to see what they can do for the future.
I mean, I think of those names, and this is not to take any shots at anybody. I think there's one name in particular that is like by far the biggest name I'm watching. Can you guess who?
Oh, DJ Pickett.
Pickett. I mean, Pickett. Yeah, not even close.
Yeah. There's a reason he was here during bowl prep in December. I mean, if history repeats itself, DJ Pickett would be a top 5 first-round draft pick, the last cornerback to enroll early.
He had a good weekend this weekend, didn't he?
Huh. I mean, are you kidding me? That was one of the craziest playoff – I mean, yeah, he was unreal. He was unreal. And if DJ Pickett can come in and just do half of what Derek Stingley did, he's going to put himself in a really good position. I love DJ Pickett. I love what he brings. Harlem Berry, Kern, Thomas, Teron Francis. The list goes on. You got some good players that made their way to Death Valley this weekend.
And looking at these offensive linemen, there's a lot of really good guys that they're bringing in. There's a chance one of them could fight for that right tackle position. I'm just saying. Like, and I look at other spots where LSU's good, but are they good? Could a freshman come in and be a freak?
Like the offensive line, you could even put a guy like Josh Thompson. If you needed him to step out and be a tackle, you could. If you wanted, I know starting 2 true freshmen at the guard spot is not recommended, but if you truly needed to start Kern and Solomon Thomas on the inside, you could.
I think Solomon Thomas in particular.
Solomon Thomas is a big boy. I mean, he's SEC ready as well, but far-fetched, of course, just hypotheticals here, but you got some versatility there. Ooh.
Chester right tackle? I don't know, man. That's rough. Unless you know something I don't. Which, look, Carver Stur's in here a bunch, and he does spout some knowledge sometimes. I think he's an interior guy from everything I'm understanding. So we'll see at that. But, yeah, no, that right tackle spot or a offensive line spot, because if he moves to right tackle, then left guard becomes open, right? It'll be interesting. And I also am curious. Again, I'm very curious to see about DJ Chester if moving away from center just magically cures all his problems. It does for some players, because some players that snap stat and that general awkward motion, they just don't have it in them. Maybe that is his problem, but I'll tell you what, he was pretty low graded at center. He needs to improve one way.
It was a challenging year for DJ.
Harlem Berry will be another fun one to watch simply because he very well could be your second back next year.
Right.
It's possible. Anyways, Zach, I'm going to let you go. It's 8:45. Let you roll. Appreciate you. We're going to get to an ad break, and then I'll wrap up the show solo, but we'll see you next week, Zach.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you.
All right. And thank you, Zack, for doing all the work he does. He really helps make this show possible. We're going to get to a bunch of questions. I will touch on the very sad Kyron Lacey situation, but I don't think that necessarily there's anything crazy news. While I don't know that there's much discussion there because it's really just a sad situation where everybody loses. And we'll talk, I guess we'll talk a little, is that right? From him, of course, him saying "Go Irish." Is that right? We'll talk a little more Notre Dame for Raymond. We'll do it for Raymond's sake, guys. Anyways, let's get into our final ad break. Of course, guys, y'all know who the title sponsor of this show is. It's Celebrity Theaters. But did you know that if you're looking for a private event, they've got you taken care of, whether it's a corporate party, just arcade party, you're looking to take a class out, they'll take care of you. It's an awesome experience. The people there, great service, just very eager to take care of you there. So celebritytheaters.com/events. I'll shoot them an email, events@celebritytheaters.com. Guys, my favorite lunch place to go has quickly become Capital City Grill, man. It is just awesome, locally owned business. We've experienced firsthand. I can tell you how great their brunch, lunch, and even dinner is, guys. This football season, we were so proud to add them, and we're proud to keep them for next football season as well. Located on 100 Lafayette Street in downtown Baton Rouge, it's your ideal lunch and dinner stop for a casual dining experience. Capital City Grill features a variety of sandwiches, burgers, seafood pastas, steaks, and more, with almost everything priced at $30 or below for an affordable experience. Don't forget to celebrate a Tigers win at their Sunday morning brunch, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Book your reservation online at capitalcitygrill.net. Let's see.
Drive-in style and luxury with a new Genesis from Genesis of Lafayette. Buy a 2023 Genesis G70 3.3T Sport Prestige Executive Demo and pay only $39,870. Buy a new 2025 GB70 and take $2,000 off the MSRP with value owner, competitive owner incentive, plus finance for 2.99% APR for 60 months or 3.99% APR for 72 months. Don't forget to start your shopping online by visiting genesisoflafayette.com.
And guys, let's talk to you about Alumni Hall. They are the absolute best one-stop shop for any LSU fan. They've got it all from the Nike gear, Champion, Johnny O, Onward Reserve, Peter Millar, Southern Tide. Guys, they've got you taken care of this football, baseball, basketball season. They rotate out their gear seasonally, so you're going to get good stuff all year long. They've got the nice polos you've been looking for, the hats, Yeti, and new LSU gear coming in daily. Shop at their store in Perkins Row or shop anytime online at alumnihall.com. One of the cool things about their shipping, they ship out of Baton Rouge. So if you're in Louisiana, it's going to arrive much quicker than, say, if you were buying off of some corporate shop and they're shipping out of New York, California, or God knows whatever else. Don't forget to use this promo code TigerBait, all one word, TigerBait, to get 10% off your order. It's online or in store. So make sure to share that with our friends at Alumni Hall. Dude, I figured we would have more Notre Dame fans there. Jimmy Payne, Clover. Jimmy, I hope you're enjoying a championship run. I think what Marcus Freeman has done has been impressive and admirable, and I'm really enjoying seeing Denbrock, who is a good coach, and I never told you he wasn't a good coach when Notre Dame hired him away from LSU. I don't think he's as good as the offense was in 2023 because that was historically good. It's actually, I believe, the third best offense in SEC history. And you're seeing, okay, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, what those guys are doing in the NFL. And I think you can certainly agree. But he's a good coach. He still called plays for those players and put them in positions to be successful. So good for them. For Notre Dame fans, Mike Denbrock doesn't get enough credit as an OC and play call. Look, man, like I'm saying, good coach. Good coach. Never would say anything different. Cole Adams says, Charles Ross is going to be a name to remember. He's your next Devin White, Harold Perkins. He finished 8th in the 6A Texas 100 meters as a junior against Durham, Moore, and Watkins. So I knew about Durham, Moore, and Watkins. I didn't know that Charles Ross was behind those guys in that same race. I love CJ Ross. He is a guy, because there's been zero drama with his recruitment. He's been not talked about very much. He's a guy who's been kind of underappreciated. You like to talk about the big sexy drama guys. Oh, look at Jakeem Stewart. We talk about Jakeem Stewart. Is he coming to LSU? Is he not? Bryce Underwood. Oh man, Michigan's there. You talk about those guys. You never talk about a CJ Ross, and that's kind of sad, but it is what it is. And yeah, he's a great player. He's actually just on the cusp of being a 5-star player. So you love to see it. It's funny that Carl Dunn mentions this. Got shafted out of the 1969 Cotton Bowl, so poo on him. In 1969, my dad never shuts up about this. My grandpa never did either before he passed away. LSU in 1969 went 9-1 or maybe 10-0 even, and LSU was set to go to the Cotton Bowl, which I don't know if you know the history of the Cotton Bowl. It used to be this big bowl game. Then it kind of took a backseat. Then Jerry World opened with the new Dallas Cowboy Stadium, and it went back to being a premier BCS bowl game or New Year's Six bowl game. Anyways, that was a huge deal, and LSU was set to go there. Notre Dame had never played in a bowl game before. It wasn't part of their program. It was part of how they did things differently. I think Notre Dame was either 10-1 or 9-1 or maybe even 10-0. Regardless, they went with Notre Dame over LSU, and LSU did not get to participate in a bowl game despite having a very good 1969 season. Now, I am spouting all of this off randomly after a comment. This is drama from, let's see here. Is it 50 years ago? Is that right? Or 45 years ago? I'm spouting off 45-year-old drama, and I'm trying my best to remember from my father and grandfather who have told me this story with varying levels of accuracy over my years growing up. So anyways, Dr. Carl, I feel you, man. I feel you. And like, of course, guys like Jimmy Page come here and say Notre Dame is America's team. And you start to see why people love to hate Irish fans, man. Jeff Jones, a bunch of Notre Dame fans celebrating before they finish the job, haven't won a championship in 40 years, so I can see why the excitement. One layer to add in here. Brian Kelly has made it to a championship in 2012. Remember that team with Manti Te'o? Pretty good football team. They also made the playoffs 2 other times. And I think about those 3 teams that have made it to either the championship or playoff. Who did they play there? Well, in 2012, they faced Bama, and that Bama team was pretty good. Definitely a buzzsaw there, but that's probably the 3rd best team that they've run into. And think about this. In 2020, who'd they run into again? Bama. And Notre Dame put up a better fight than Ohio State did against that Bama team. In 2018, they ran into undefeated Clemson. Trevor Lawrence national championship. And by the way, that Clemson team also went on to blow out Alabama. So I think about those Notre Dame teams and I think, man, could they have made it this far? Is any of the wins that Notre Dame's put together more impressive than what those wins would have been in the playoff? And does this Notre Dame team win or compete in any of those 3 games? The answer is no. I mean, objectively, there's no way this Notre Dame team beats 2020 Bama or even comes close, or 2018 Clemson or 2012 Bama, albeit that one's probably the closest argument you have. It is what it is. But Notre Dame, you definitely should be happy with what you've got, what the job Marcus Freeman's done. And look, go win a national championship, and this conversation changes dramatically. All of a sudden, everything I'm saying is out the window because Brian Kelly never won a national championship. And all of a sudden, the argument isn't that you had a Mickey Mouse path. It's all camers that came at you, and nobody walked away with a dub except for Northern Illinois, which, I mean, who cares? Who cares? You won what, 16 games? Who cares? Anyways, let's see here. Carl Dunn, 1960 LSU. I told you. See, Preston's wise beyond his. I was not alive in 1969, but I know about 1969. All right. I'm inside the drama. One of the things I'm a third generation LSU graduate. My wife is an LSU graduate. When my sister, I have many aunts and uncles. My mom, my dad, both graduated from LSU. So it's wired in my DNA. I don't look on Wikipedia and know that team was 9-1. I know it because I've heard my grandpa and and father bitch and moan about that team for 33 years. I know the behind the scenes drama. Okay. Some would call that wisdom beyond their years. You know, I was telling people the other day, a lot of people don't like listening to a young guy do podcasts and talking and stuff like that. They don't trust the young guy. And I get it. Okay. And I think with LSU fans, there's a lesson I've learned. If you can't name who Chiron Carey was, they don't trust you. They don't like you if you don't know who Chiron Carey is. Boy, shout out Chiron Carey, man. What a good versatile depth back. Carver Stir, of course, chimes in and says, BK set the foundation at Notre Dame. He sure did. And that's another element that a lot of these Notre Dame fans aren't. There's a lot of layers that are very lazily being cast to the side in this whole discussion of what's going on. I get it's a bad optic, but ultimately, Brian Kelly left Notre Dame a program that won 50 games in 5 seasons when he left. Okay. And perennial 11-win program basically is what Brian Kelly built that into by the time he left. So to sit here and say, you know, okay, well, you took a program that was 11 plus wins, right? Or 11, not 11 plus, but 11 wins. You dropped down to 9 for a couple years, and then you eventually worked your way up back to 11 wins. It's not like Brian Kelly wasn't doing it. It's not like Brian Kelly inheriting an absolute dumpster fire of a roster at LSU. And now he's trying, you know, he had to build his way back up to 10, and he's been kind of, you know, 10 or 9 wins his whole time here at LSU, trying to break into that next level. It's a different angle and conversation. Okay. And also, again, it's not like he hasn't made it to the national championship. There's a lot of lazy angles being thrown out here. NIL is a lazy angle we're not talking about. The status of the shape of the programs when both coaches took over. That's a big thing we're throwing out lazily. There's just a lot of, I get it. I get the story. I get what gets your clicks, but if you're objectively looking at it and trying to determine who, you know, coaching quality, I think there's a lot of lazy things we're looking at here. Let's see here. If Ohio State beats Notre Dame by double digits, it's predicted as the same. I think Ohio State takes care of business, but I will say this Notre Dame team is legitimate. It's legitimate, and I don't know if they lose that bad, but Ohio State certainly is hot. The thing that scares me with Ohio State is quarterback Will Howard. He's hit or miss. He's all over the place. Some days he's hot, some days he's not. Guys, I got to touch on the Kyren Lacy situation. Kyren Lacy, of course, got in a wreck on December 17th. And, well, he didn't get in a wreck. He was trying to pass someone up. He allegedly caused a wreck, and a former Marine was killed. And it's a sad situation for Kyren. He now has been arrested and booked on $151,000 bond and has this vehicular homicide charge he has to deal with. And it's a sad situation because a young man who probably didn't intend to do anything, but was probably making dumb decisions driving, is now going to face the consequence. And even more grave, a man lost his life. So very sad on Kyren Lacy. I just prayers for the family. I wanted to issue prayers for them. And, I hope, the legal process does its due diligence, whether it's right or wrong, whatever your opinion on what he should have consequence. It is, I think, ultimately just very sad that a young man right about to go to the NFL is now probably his career is all done So very sad for Kyron Lacey. Guys, I appreciate y'all for watching tonight. If y'all liked the show, y'all make sure to hit like on this video and subscribe to our channel. We continue to grow, and I continue to appreciate y'all. We've got a few more shows on this show that we're going to do before we wrap up for the year. And then, of course, we're going to transition into the off season where it's just Mike's show Wednesday night. He's, of course, going to be live Wednesday night. So y'all make sure to hit like and subscribe so you can follow Mike and Buddy Wednesday night. I'll be back probably not next Monday because that's the national championship. I'll be with the Notre Dame guys watching. Jimmy Page says he has a beer for me ready to go. So me and him will be watching, chopping it up. So I will see y'all next week, probably Tuesday. And y'all have a great night. See you then.